The Hawaiian Islands are the only Pacific islands without a peppercorn industry, and it is also the only American state with a suitable climate to have one. Although peppercorn farming can initially be very labor-intensive, upon maturity, there's a high potential value associated with it as a locally produced crop. There is considerable geographical and commercial scope to initiate the peppercorn industry in Hawaii, with many avenues for marketing. These include selling to local chefs, restaurants, local markets, tourist sales, online sales, and even co-oping. Overall, we have found that peppercorn plants thrive out of the elements in warm, shady, humid, low-wind areas with well-draining, slightly acidic soils. These conditions are optimal for successful growth. Our initial open field trials in Lower Kula suffered in the dry summer winds and failed even with irrigation and artificial shade. Relocated plantings in the protected gulch areas proved much more successful. Weed mat was used to control vegetation, halekoa trees and shade cloth were used to prevent and control sun exposure. Irrigation was provided from above and at the root level every other day for approximately 20 minutes. This was suitable for both summer and winter in the protected gulch area. At our elevation, there were some winter nights with temperatures dipping below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The plants showed some temporary slowed growth and minor damage, but recovered quickly. Products containing trichoderma, worm castings, humic acid, and even worms were used to create an environment to foster beneficial bacteria and fungi, and to help maintain a sustainable environment where peppercorn plants would thrive. We also used a slow-release balanced fertilizer 3 times over the year for consistent growth, and in some cases we reached over 8 feet of growth in less than 6 months. Overstory crops such as coconut, jackfruit, mango, ulu, and dragon fruit all have potential to create a suitable habitat to grow peppercorn under. Other crops such as vanilla can be grown side by side, with ginger and cardamom as understory crops. For this project, we utilized non-bearing Kiave and halekoa trees that double as living, nitrogen-fixing trellises for the peppercorn plants. Untreated burlap wrapped around the standards served as favorable climbing and stabilizing material that holds some moisture for the new plants to latch onto and root. Artificial standards can also be used to increase crop production and propagation material. Wire mesh columns were packed with coconut coir, husk, and worm castings to serve as permanent structures that hold moisture that plants can root into. Studies have shown that production of peppercorn can be doubled using this method. Production of plant propagation material increases dramatically as well. We learned that the burlap helps to keep the media inside the columns and protects the plants from direct contact with the metal column in the event of wind. Plants should be grown as high as possible while still being able to harvest them. The most reliable and quick way to propagate peppercorn plants is via rooted cuttings. It is preferable to harvest cuttings from the primary climbing shoot, or a runner from the base to get a productive vine. These runners are identified by long internodes and adventitious roots. Propagation from lateral shoots will produce a small, bush-like form of the pepper plant, without the same climbing or producing capabilities. Any contact point between the primary shoot and the column media or the ground will produce aerial roots from the plant node. Each node can potentially be harvested to produce a new plant. One single plant can be harvested and propagated into hundreds of clones. Cuttings of at least 3 nodes with leaves are preferred. Actively growing cuttings with healthy roots yield the best results. No rooting hormone is needed except for node cuttings without roots. We potted the rooted cuttings soon after removing them from the mother plant. They may experience shock for the first couple days but recover quickly. Like the plants, it's best to grow the peppercorn cuttings in a shade house or under overstory trees and irrigate every other day. Again, we fertilize with balanced, slow-release fertilizer once active growth starts. Consistent production starts after approximately 3 years and reaches full maturity at 7. It has been suggested to remove the flowers from peppercorn vines for the first 2 years of spotty production to promote more vegetative growth. Peppercorn production from young vines thus far has been spotty, primarily due to this immaturity. The corns develop and ripen over a 6 to 9 month period after flowering. The plants seem to flower continuously throughout the year, with 2 main harvest periods, in early spring and during summer. The reported normal harvest for Hawaii from one vine is approximately 4 to 6 pounds. With the column method, production can be over 10 pounds per plant. The model for starting a peppercorn plantation is as follows. Years 1 and 2, you're propagating, planting, irrigating, fertilizing, and figuring out your own local pest management system. You gotta watch out for Phytophthora, anthracnose, leaf rot and blight, and also basalt wilt. Not to mention the local insect pests, which can be damaging to your crop. In our case, there was only minor damage from rose beetles. Years 3 through 25, you're doing the same thing with the added bonus of harvesting, drying, threshing, cleaning, and marketing your product. Your peppercorns can be sold fresh, pickled, or dried. Picked fresh green or red, the corns will desiccate quickly. The picked product should be threshed and cleaned immediately, and if used fresh, it should be sealed and refrigerated, as they will only last a few days. To retain the color of the picked corn, they can be blanched for 10 minutes. This will help with the drying process. The corns are sold either red, green, black, or white. Soaking and fermenting red peppercorns and then stripping them of their skin before drying creates the value-added product white pepper. Any of these dried pepper products will have a shelf life of approximately 18 months. The peppercorn plant's low burden, vining growth, and low maintenance makes it an easy crop to incorporate into any new or existing farm plan as an understory crop. Its high market value, up to $100 per pound as a local product, and its potential for value-added products makes this a viable option for farmers to diversify and add avenues of income to their operation. These propagation methods will allow a farmer to produce as many plants as are necessary for their production. These same methods will help them maximize their production of peppercorns.